folks, I'm Terry Gross, and everyone you know and love is going to die in a horrible fire. Sorry. Sorry. This is my new bit, my recurring. I got a guest. Kennedy, you're a return guest. You're actually from like the old show when the show still really sucked.
Yeah. I had like a there. I've been on this show several times, and one of the times I was on here, I just was having a mental breakdown.
I remember, yeah, it was a good. That was probably one of our best episodes. That's one of the, That's a good episode.
I do remember I got a couple of specific like replies or DMs or
Yeah.
like comments, messages. It's a while ago, so I can't remember if if they were
Yeah.
Twitter replies or Instagram or blah blah whatever. But it was just like I do remember a couple people reached out to me and were like, "Thanks for sharing all that. That was dope." And I was like, I was like, man, I went on that show and just had a complete existential crisis. And you just pretended it was totally normal
No,
and that we
that's
would still
that.
be friends afterwards.
That
And
wasn't a
was really
pretend.
cool of you.
Yeah, that wasn't a pretend. That's cool. I think that shit is cool. That's why I have the podcast that I have. Also, for the people who are watching at home, I'm clown maxing, right? That you may notice that I have something on my nose. It's because I'm clown maxing.
We love it.
I'll give a little explanation behind it. What happened was the other day, I listened to about 13 hours of NPR news, like the news, like and then like, okay, here's a crazy person thing that I've been doing recently. I've been listening to all the like super hardcore liberal podcast,
Okay.
right? Like, so like the Pod Save America and the Pod, like the crooked media stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need to balance it out. So I started listening to like, what is the other one? InfoWars, right? Like
Okay.
there's a podcast that I was listening to called like the Patriot Party podcast or the True Patriot Son podcast, and it was crazy because they had like 40 listeners per episode, but they had Kash Patel on as a guest, and I was like, that's insane, dog. Like that's like this is crazy.
Podcasts are like that though.
Literally, like their highest episode.
Anyway, if you want to meet your hero, just start a podcast.
Start a podcast.
Just start a podcast.
I don't know what people will say yes to a podcast unless you're me and the name of my podcast is The Ain't Shit Show, and you go and try to get them on the pod, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, amazing. What's the name of your podcast?" And you're like, "It's The Ain't Shit Show," and then they're like, "Yeah, fuck you, dude."
It's a no-win situation too, because once you've cultivated like an audience of like deranged online leftist, like quirked up, like fucking
Obviously,
nerdos like myself. Then it's like you're making content to try to please those people, but then if anyone else hears your content, they're like, what the fuck
are you talking
but
about?
then if you're like, okay, you know what, let me mellow it out, I'm gonna make a new show. It's gonna be called it's just gonna be called the homie and friends,
yeah,
or
the chill,
something.
the chill dude hour with
Yeah.
with a chill dude, like that's starting your host, and you're still gonna run into like, I remember him from the Psycho Hour with
Your old fan, and your old fans will be pissed at you. They'll be like, "You sold out." This is because you're like, well, I just wanted to make a show where we talked about Pokemon trading cards instead of politics, and they're like, "You betrayed us."
I missed the racist hour. I missed the racism hour you guys used to host. Hey, we've grown. No,
or remember that podcast that we never made that we talked about in the DMs that one time that would just be exploring old timey slurs.
We were trying to look into figuring out. Yeah, we were trying. The problem with why that would never work out.
You can't make that show.
It show's impossible to make. You're pissing everyone off. You're making everyone mad.
No one's gonna be happy with that show. It was just, the more we talked about it, the more we were like, this is the worst podcast idea that anyone has ever had.
There's no way that this would work. And I was like, we should do this though, but we should. It should be us. We're the only two people that could get this off the ground. No, but I think like what happens is I've been listening to like horrific stuff, and then it just, for me, when I get a taste of poison, a normal person's like, ew, poison, and I'm just like, well, I gotta make sure that it's poisonous, and then I chug it. So I downloaded the Fox News app. I downloaded the CNN app,
Okay.
the
Okay.
MSNBC app, and the NPR app.
All great
And
choices so
and
far.
I listen to the like podcast, like the news, because I'm on like a route. I'm walking. So like I'm walking for close to like 12, 13 hours a day. Headphones on, fully turned up, psychopaths in my ears talking about the news, talking. And like one of the funniest things, actually, if you really want to see, if you want the truth, and I know this is going to sound insane, if you want the truth about what's going on in the decline of the American empire, the people you tune into is Fox News. All right. You watch Fox News because you're watching Fox News trying to wrap its mind around some of the worst shit that has ever happened to the Republican Party. Like, you watch them, like the economy is in free fall because of like tariffs that Trump put into place. Every single analyst on there, like in their bones, is like screaming like this is wrong, we fucking goofed, and that every single one of them is like, no, this is fine, this is actually fine, and you can see the horror in their eyes. You can see it. And it's incredible. What I'm saying is that that's where I get all my news now, is from them, is seeing, is like just adjusting to their horror. But no, like, so anyways, I give myself brain rot, 13 hours listening to that, listening to like just talking heads do talking head shit. And I like came home. I was like, I had to do a podcast, and I was gonna do a stream because like I needed to get some work done, and like I was like in no mood. And a normal person would have been like, well, I should just take the day, recalibrate, reset, make my, you know what I'm saying, like really like
Yeah.
take some time. Really.
Yeah.
And I said, fuck that noise, and I got some duct tape, and I stuffed it inside the nose of this, and I stuffed my nose in it, and I looked in the mirror, and then I said, I'm Terry Gross, and everyone you know is going to die. And I fucking and I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, you know what? This is it. We
No, that's where we're at right now for
yeah.
sure. Um, and yeah, it's like to watch conservative news and understand anything from it. It's like listening to jazz. You know, it's about the words they don't say.
It's about the yeah. It's about the vibes. It's about the vibes. The vibes that it's about the vibes and the notes they don't play for sure. It's
Yeah, like you can learn a lot about what's really going on in the world by watching conservative news and like the extremely sheepdog liberal news both, and just what are they not mentioning, and then Google those things that they're like brushing over or mentioning very little, and then those will be the things that you actually needed to learn about today usually.
heard I heard, I think it might have been Rachel Maddow, right? But I heard Rachel Maddow almost use the big C word, where she was talking about the failing economy. And like, she goes like, yeah, she goes like, is this like the markets, like, is the tariff thing like just the stupidity of one man, or is this like a correction for the markets, or is this an indictment of overall? And then she was about to say capitalism, and then she was like, overall, the business. I was like,
It's
damn.
funny because you can kind of tell that like Rachel Maddow is like an ally in some deep
Fucked up
way,
way.
but
Yeah,
is
it's a,
also like has created a cage she can't get out of.
it
You
was so
know,
funny. It was so funny to go from like, maybe it's an indictment of business.
maybe it's an indictment of modern CEO
Yeah,
culture.
yeah. Just completely obfuscating. I was like, all right, cool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. She gets it. But you had a good point that you were talking about before we started recording, which was that you wanted to talk about how like now is the time for people to make art and create things, especially with like the oversaturation of dog shit that just kind of is out there, you know, and like there's a lot of like really high polish doo doo, right?
Yeah,
Like really high polished, big budget dog shit.
I mean, the Electric State is like
Mhm.
the big example of the moment. You know,
Mhm.
$320 million just down the fucking drain.
Mhm.
Just and people said to a great cast whiffed it. No, what the fuck you? Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown is not a great
Great
cast.
cast, yeah.
That is a fucking crap cast in a lot of ways. Millie
Yeah.
Bobby Brown is an exactly okay, very young actress that has not really learned how to act to the level that she may someday yet.
Mhm.
And Chris Pratt is a guy that couldn't act his way out of a fucking paper bag. He has actually somehow gotten worse at acting over
Acting,
the
yeah,
years.
yeah.
It's mysterious. Most people don't unlearn skills that they already have. Like you look at like there's like pieces of shit in Hollywood. Like Mel Gibson is a
Yeah, yeah.
guy that I fucking can't stand as a
You know what? But I
person.
will watch a Mel Gibson movie because that guy can act.
But he can
That
act, and he
motherfucker
never
can act.
stopped. He never forgot how to
How to
act
act? Yeah.
either. Like they still put him in stuff occasionally, and you'll see him, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, Mel Gibson's in this fucking movie! God damn it!"
And then you
And then
watch
you'll
him
be
like, oh,
like,
it's
"Oh,
pretty
but
good.
he's killing this part."
Yeah. He kind of rocks here. It sucks. It sucks that he rocks this hard. No, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's so many actors that I like. You know who I fucking love as an actor, and he's a horrible person, but I love his work. He played Wood, something Wood. I can't remember. He played the voice of Hades in Hercules. You know who I'm talking about, right? Like
I know that voice.
yeah, and you know him as an actor. He's like a scumbag. He's like a real hardcore. He's a hard right Republican, like stumper.
Oh, James Woods. Yeah,
James
yeah, yeah,
Woods.
yeah, yeah.
James Woods.
He has terrible, terrible
Terrible politics, but I
politics.
will watch anything with James Woods because I'm
He can
fucking with
act.
his acting. His
Man can
acting is
act.
good. Unfortunately,
Um,
he makes bangers.
it's always tough to decide when to like keep watching or turn something off based on who's in it. And I honestly think like my advice to people is like just make your own calls and don't be judgmental about
Yeah,
it to
yeah,
other people in general.
yeah.
And now I'm not saying like forgive a Republican for blah 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 or whatever, but I'm just saying like if it's your friends and they're like, yeah, I still listen to Grimes, just let it go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know,
Like-
like the few I have I have feelings about like Kanye West that are eldritch to most people because like I don't care about his music. His music is fine. I like his music. There's some of his music that I like, but now I more care about the spectacle. Like I have like a duty to watch him now because I have a podcast where I'm like making fun of crazy people, you know what I'm saying? So like it's my job to watch his insanity and report back to the masses what I see. Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
I sometimes I can separate the art from the artist to some extent, but I did stop listening to Kanye West.
Yeah,
And it was not even just because he's so disgusting, but because his disgusting behavior started to reframe some of his songs in a way that made it uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I mean, this man wrote a song with the line, "Baby, I've got a plan, run away fast as you can," which at the time seemed kind of like cheeky and funny, but now that he's a Nazi, "Baby, I've got a plan, run away fast as you can," I'm like, I have to leave the country if people are saying stuff like that. What are you talking about?
The
Like,
the one line. Listen, I've been a big like I knew Kanye was a monster from years ago from the Little Brother. He had a like a small side project called Little Brother, right? And like they were like a rap group, and he would rap and make their beats. And he has a song called like "Aw Nah" or something like that, where the song is essentially about how he started dating this girl, and she was she used him as a rebound, and while she was rebounding, she gained hella weight. And he was essentially the song is a fat girl hate anthem, and I was just like, this is unconscionable. This is this is how dare you, sir? And and then I couldn't. That was for me real early on. I was like, yeah, his music's cool, but I can't forgive him for that one because it's
I've never heard
unhinged.
that song. If I knew about that song, I might have. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might have different feelings about him sooner. I've
Yeah,
never heard about this.
that was like I think I found that song like 2005, and I was like, I'm a little skeptical of this guy.
That was the frustrating thing about Kanye West turn is that a lot of his hits in the early days were like,
Mhm.
fuck the system.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta tear this shit down. And you're like, whoa, this is hype, and the beat is really good.
But that's okay. There's
Um,
there's like a mental thing that happened. I've seen this happen not just to Kanye West, but to like lots of people. Right? This is like real California brain. Right? This is I'm put you up on some game here.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Extreme California brain is you are extremely anti-racist, anti-fascist, doing all the stuff that people want you to do, and or like you're liberatory. You're like very liberatory. Your brain is all about like liberation.
Right.
And if you don't put like some kind of material conditions into that mix, that liberation eventually goes, and why can't people say it, right? And why, right? And like, why can't white people say it? It turns into that extremely quickly, or it turns into like, maybe it's all about love and vibes, and maybe if we loved on the Nazis, they wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Maybe if we vibed up some Nazis, we wouldn't have had to kill a lot of them. And like, no, dude, there's some material conditions here that you're not, you're
What
you're going from
what
A
if
to
the
Z.
Nazis just had appropriated hairstyles?
Yeah, yeah. These are Viking knots, actually. Like these are Viking box braids. Yeah, no, there's like a California brain where unchecked, completely unchecked, you just become a literal Nazi,
Yeah,
right? And I think
yeah,
that that's what happened to Kanye West, is because like if you're super duper focused on like some kind of liberatory, without any kind of like foundation, or if you've never been pushed on it. Do you get what I'm saying? If you've never been pushed on it, and I don't mean pushed on it like pushed on it in a way where you're pushed down, but like pushed on it in a constructive way. Like, think about that for a minute. Like,
right, right,
think
right.
about, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you don't have homies in your life to tell you, like, hey, I know that you're all about freedom and freedom of love, but like, definitely should not be the guy taking home drunk girls. You know what I'm saying? While you're stone sober, you're a monster for that shit, right? Like that's the most immediate that I can think of as a young, like when I was younger. That's the shit that I saw and was like, hey, there's something wrong here, right? And like, I don't know, it really changed. Everything fucking changed after I started like realizing that like you gotta constructively push back on people and tell them like, you're doing monstrous shit. You may think you're doing it, you're being a nice guy, but you're a fucking monster, right? Or like you're thinking about this in a way that's allowing monster brain to proliferate, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of just like lonely workaholics who get rich and then have no friends.
Yeah,
And then it's like once you're rich, it becomes really hard to have peers.
yeah,
Especially if you come from a complicated background and you become rich.
yeah,
And like I mean, Kanye West, he's not joking when he says, I go into these boardrooms of white people and these people fucking suck and all that.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's like some of this stuff when he's going on these rants, there's like some kernels of truth in there
Mm-hmm.
that I'm sure are completely fucking real, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like he has become one of the few black billionaires,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a terrible position to be in a lot of ways when you just think about like the constructed culture of billionaireism is made for cis white men only, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, of course that's going to cause like incredible contradictions in someone's brain potentially. And like
I would argue that even the concept of billionaires itself isn't even made for humans. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
There's an
no, I get what you're
aspect.
saying.
Yeah, there's an aspect of where like you become a billionaire and then you become inhuman. You know what I'm saying? Like we're watching it in real time with like Elon Musk, right? We're seeing. Have you seen all of the people? He was posting Path of Exile or some new game. He's live streaming it on his private plane to like
Yeah.
showcase, and all of the comments on there are like, you should kill yourself, or like you
Yeah,
should
you're the most pathetic person that has
on
ever
earth. Yeah, yeah.
lived, dude.
And like seeing that stuff, like that's not a position. I'm not. Listen, I have no sympathy for that dickhead. All right, I'm not the first person, but also like he is at this point inhuman. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's so far gone on like his ideological spectrum, and that he doesn't even live in the same reality as the rest of us. Do you know what I'm saying? He's past a humanity to a point, right? And like it's sad. It's depressing. You want to have empathy for that guy, but then you remember that he like literally is responsible for the upcoming death of potentially billions of people through the canceling of USAID, which
Insane.
USAID, yeah, like cutting the NHS, the National Health, like just cut everything, right? Like Health and Human Services, like he's just, yeah, it's hard. You should not ever feel bad. You never have to, at any point, have to hand it or feel bad for this man, but also like be aware that he's like rescinded humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not in a spot. If you look up to Elon Musk and you see the life that he's living, and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. Take a deep look at that shit, dude.
Yeah,
Like
for real.
really look at it.
And I can wind this back to the main topic here really well because I think one of the most fundamentally human things to do is to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not saying that that means that like you don't have humanity if you don't make art, but I'm just saying, like, I think that making art is a fundamental expression of what makes us human,
Mhm.
and what makes humanity at all worthwhile, in my opinion. Like,
Mhm.
if all of this shit, I mean, sometimes I look around at this shit and I have these little existential moments where it's like, I feel like suddenly like I'm a monkey and I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, what is all this stuff? What the fuck is all this stuff? You know, it's just like looking at like
The
cities and
mail,
shit.
working
Like,
in the mail makes you feel like a flesh automaton. Like there are days when you're like, I'm not. I am a. My body is a machine that turns mail into slightly misdelivered mail. You know what I'm saying? Like that is what I. That is my purpose. That's what I do. Right. It's you're. It like you really get stuck in the like doldrums of the day in and day out because you're literally, especially like me. I have the same route and I. My swings change, so but it's not much variation. So I essentially have the same day every day, and I have the rest of my life to look forward to this, right? And like, it's fucking like it makes you a crazy person to look at it and
yeah.
be like, okay, I want to do the same thing every day for the rest of my life, 6 days a week, right? Like, uh, yeah, but I get. For me though, like a good reason, creativity. I have art is mad like universal to me, right? Like I think there's an aspect of art that I think is often not talked about. That is like art not as a consumptive tool, if that makes any sense. So like a lot of people consider art from the artist perspective of like they consider it from like I make art because like I want to generate things and like and sure like that's a good wanting to make stuff is already in itself a great intention,
Yeah.
but like real like the difference between that kind of art and like art that transcends and becomes functional in people's lives is art with the intention to merge into people's lives, right? And so like for me so much of my early life in like when I joined the workforce at like 13 and I've just have had somewhat regular jobs my whole life. Anytime I had an opportunity to listen to music like headphones and that was a job, the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that got me through to surviving that job or like on the radio or anything like that was the music that I had in my
100%.
that I had in
100%.
my life, right? And then when I was mad low and I was depressed and I had nothing, the YouTube videos that I could watch on my phone, those meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
remember coming, like running home to see new Filthy Frank stuff, like cause it was super, that was my jam. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember Djibouti dubs. I remember being addicted to Djibouti dubs, but I mean, I'm 13, so like it was cool. But like, like I remember these things in my life enriching my life in ways because they had merged and become part of my life. And so like for my advice to like artists right now is like of course you can make whatever you want to make, but also you should make it with the intention of the listener. Like what are they going to be doing while you are making this? So for me, this stupid podcast that I have, the way that I've always saw it is that this is, I didn't always see it this way, but I'm starting to see this, is that this is like you having a fucked up hard ass night shift and you got this like tuning into a phone call with your homies talking shit, you know what I'm saying, and you're muted. That should save my life in real life, you know what I'm saying, like hearing people talk about their days, laughing, joking, riffing. That shit is important. It makes you feel human. It
Yeah.
makes you feel like a normal person instead of a flesh automaton that delivers mail, right?
Well, and I think art has this ability to, even just a show like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's not nothing because it has this ability to reach across like communication lines and stuff. And we live in increasingly divided times where that sort of stuff is necessary. And I started a creatives club recently. It's called the Choya AV Club. Started it with me and some of my best friends. And it's you can join the Discord if you follow me. I'll get you a
I'll
link.
put a link in this for that.
Hell yeah. We got a lot of stuff going on in there. And it's like, we're trying to figure out how do we bring people together because it just feels like right now, so many people are so disconnected that actually just, cultural mediums of that can just get people talking and hanging out are kind of
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
And just starting from that foundation is really important. And so This club is like, this is not a money making venture.
Hmm.
This is not a for profit
Hmm.
entity.
This is a homie making venture. That's what I like to consider it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely my hope that we'll get people to create cool stuff. We just had our first short film festival, film jam, basically like a 48-hour film festival type thing.
Hmm.
And we had seven films get submitted, and some of these folks were like, I haven't made something in a while, or I've never done something like this, or whatever, and it was just really cool. And It's just really a powerful, magical, beautiful thing to be a part of and to encourage in this little community.
I watched that Discord grow like almost overnight, which was crazy because you invited me to it, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'll join." And then I joined, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, everyone?" And then literally like the next day, I was like, "My phone is unreadable." Like, there's so many like people. This place blew up. This is crazy. I wanna get in there. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna siphon guests from there. I'm gonna poach some guests from there because there's a lot of interesting people in there that I would love to.
Oh, it's intended for that. We
Yeah,
even
yeah.
have a podcaster mixer
Hmm.
event that we host semi regularly. We're hosting two of them in April at different times to try to
Hmm.
give people opportunities to show up if they're on different schedules.
Hmm.
But yeah, we host events that are explicitly intended, like, show up to this and poach guests,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like
I have a hard upsell. Evidence, you know what I'm saying? Trying to sell the podcast to anyone. I've had people reach out to me every now and then to be like, "Marcus, your show is great, and I would like, I'd love to see like, maybe I have some contacts here that would love to talk to you about stuff. Can you put together like a deck of like, and I put stuff together and I put my like best bits forward." And I show them my little press junket, and they're like, "Hey, listen, so they don't want to talk to you because in the press junket you put in a clip called "Woke Hitler," and I was like, it was a good bit.
really
Like
good
it was funny. It was funny. I'm
bit.
sorry. All right. Unfortunately, it was funny. Right. I like I'm trying to. I'm putting my best foot forward here. So like it's very difficult.
It is. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. But anyway, I wanted to kind of like get mentioned in the club out of the way early-ish because I didn't want people to feel like I'm gonna give this whole speech about the need to be creative and then pitch the club at the end and it feels like, oh, this was all just a
Yeah,
fucking
yeah. There's a
sales
ploy.
pitch
Yeah,
or
yeah,
what,
yeah.
you know.
It's
Um,
fine. Listen,
and
we're
instead, I kind of want it to be more like the other way around. Like, hey, I'm telling you about this club. Right now, you're probably listening, going, yeah, sure, whatever, another Discord. I'm hoping that by the end of this show, if you aren't already convinced to check it out right now, that you will be after you hear some of my thoughts about how things are getting worse creatively, but also how we can band together and still make incredible art regardless, and that we need to under fascism.
there's the thing that I have and have noticed, right, with art in general, is that people no longer, and like the market that they're selling, that they're buying and selling art, they don't know how to deal with this. But like you can put a turd through a high polish, give it a hot like a hard gloss cover, and make it shiny, but you cut through it and it's still a turd.
Yeah,
Do you
it
know what I'm
still
saying?
fucking stinks.
Yeah, so people don't want high polished turds anymore. They want some. They don't mind a little roughness if the what you're making is authentic. People want authenticity, right? And I'm seeing that more and more. Is that people like something that has a genuineness to it that isn't either a sales pitch, not trying to get you to stick a noom in your ass or whatever it is that you do with nooms. Do you know about this? Might have been my latest obsession is hearing the Johns being like, "Oh, this podcast brought to you by Noom. You blow into it, it tells you if you're fat or not. I don't know. Like, I don't. It's magic. It doesn't. It's no. There's no way that it's real. But I mean, like a lot of places are essentially trying to sell you stuff,
Yeah,
and like I think the key for me personally has always been not to front load the sales pitch, but like to essentially, because I in a perfect world, in a world where I would like I would get paid enough to be a mailman, like full time. I mean I am a full time mailman, but I would get paid enough and still have the energy and the capacity to make lots of art and it be like something I can bring more people involved in. And like,
Right.
I don't know if you're active in my Discord at all, but my Discord is extremely active, and we are always trying to make stuff in there. And like, we're trying to make like, I think recently one of our homies, Carrie, released like an EP, and so you should stream that. By the way, I'll put a link to that in
Hell yeah.
in the subscription or in the description as well. But also, like, you have to be aware as a creator, if you start getting a little bit of love, if you start getting a little bit of like people really liking your stuff, share that. You know what I'm saying? Like, share the love, recursive, pour it back into your community, show people, you know what I'm saying? Your community, who is a group of people who have come together to support you, they also do stuff, and you can support them with your community and then grow the community bigger and larger and larger. And like, that's, I think, like the terms that people need to start thinking about things, which I know you already are, right? And you have been for a while, actually. I feel like how as long as I've known you, like, you've been trying to build like a creatives collective, which, my hat's off.
Yeah, there's been ups and downs with it. There's a lot of like, I don't want to spend a bunch of time just talking about drama or anything, but there's just there's always people whenever you try to start things like this, that will like they'll be like, well, I'm the one genius here
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
needs to be like respected or whatever. And that's just kind of inevitable when you're dealing with like strong creative personalities to some extent. But it's like, we can all be geniuses.
Yeah.
Um we can all be people that do cool special things. We can all help each other to do that. And when people start acting like, no, I'm the genius, no one else can be smart, no one else can be, whatever, it's all me, then, like, that can really drag down these kinds of things. And there's just a lot of that in United States culture.
What I've learned,
And people, I just want to say for the record, people will decide this for the dumbest reasons
to
imaginable.
die on a hill, yeah.
Like that they're special for well, I moved here from San Francisco, and I'm here in fucking Washboard, Alabama, or whatever, and it's like, therefore I'm the special one, or what, and it's like, for all you know, you're the dumbest person in Washboard, Alabama. Like, you actually have no idea. You just got here,
Yeah, yeah. You just,
Like-
yeah, yeah. I get exactly what you're saying. I think what I've learned and had to combat that in my own Discord is that the focus is on me, but not me being a genius, but me being the dumbest guy in the Discord. I'm constantly getting roasted by my Discord for saying things that are just completely insane. I don't know if you heard the episode that I did with your co-host Andrew from The Worst Week Yet, where I I essentially thought that Jon Favreau, the actor and director, was also Jon Favreau from Pod Save America. And my Discord was ruthless about that for weeks. And now I have to read, when I read the Patreon off to people, I have to read stuff about like, oh, the son of the true Jon Favreau. I just, you know what I'm saying? Consistently getting roasted. But what I found about like any good community is that if you're a creator, or you're like, if you're building some kind of, and your creator isn't, you're the creator of the community, or you are like the center of the community, you should absolutely be the butt of all of the jokes, right? To not be that, to not bear that brunt, it will go to your head. You will be like snorting your own farts. And like, if you're trying to build more creatives, like get them together in the same room and get along, you got to be gracious enough to be like, listen, you're both beautiful baby geniuses, and I'm a complete idiot. Explain this like I'm 5, right? And like, that's just like good management, I feel like, right? Like,
Also, you can't be above like participating in things or encouraging things. I feel like that's another thing I'll see a lot, is somebody will be like, well, I started a Discord, but because I'm the special one, I'm not gonna just show up for these little peons, little activities or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, then the people stop having activities.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if like you just like blow them off all the time and act like they're whatever.
yeah.
Like, you never have to engage directly with your community, And it's
Mhm.
like instead you could just be like, oh, everybody's posting photos of their, cold drink on a hot day. Let me just take
Quick check.
a cute. Let me take a cute photo.
Can check.
Yeah,
Can
join the can check.
Every community needs a can check. All right. You need. There's one of two things. Your community is gonna fall apart if you don't have these two things. One of them is a can check. All right, which we don't have in the homie Discord. Which that's horrible. We should fix that. The other thing is a fit check, which we do have. Okay.
You're
People love to
forgetting a
post
third
fits.
category that
What's the
works
third?
for this.
It's the pet check. It's
Yep.
the yep. Cats,
Mhm.
cats and dogs. We have that. We have those. We have two of the three. Right.
We're doing we focus primarily on 3 in the Choya AV club so far. It's a very good vibe for that
Yeah,
group.
of
It's just
course,
like, hey, everybody,
absolutely.
post some cute pet
Fit
fit.
checks are scary, right? Fit checks are wildly scary because sometimes you personally can feel like you got that shit on and you post a fit and then everyone is like, "This is hilarious. This is a hilarious fit check." And you're like, "It wasn't supposed to be hilarious, guys. this was."
Or like you get like two fire emoji reactions only and
That's
one
worse.
comment.
Yeah, that's worse. That's
That's like the
infinitely.
worst thing that can happen for fit check. It's just when people. It's just like you got 2 fire emojis. One of them is your boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, one
The
of them
boyfriend fire emoji carries no weight. It carries
no
literally no
weight at
weight.
all. The other one is somebody you've known for 17
Yeah.
years. Um,
The
and
best
then
friend.
and
Oh, it's
and
even
then the
less weight.
best friend leaves the
Yeah.
comment is like, I think
Girl.
it's
Yeah.
sensible and
Yeah. Yeah.
stylish or something like
You got that shit
that.
on, girl. And you're like, no, I don't. I don't have that shit on. I, I made a grave miscalculation in putting this shit on.
Or like, I love how you combine practicality
Yeah.
and as soon as somebody says combine
When you
practicality,
say
it doesn't
combined,
matter
it's
what's about to
over.
come
Yeah.
up next.
It's over. You have put together the worst fit of all time. And you just gotta sit with that L. You know what I'm saying? Actually, you know what? I would love to have you on for this. I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to do a YouTube series what's called fit analysis, where we
Ooh,
analyze someone's fits of like people who are constantly got that shit on. And the first one I wanted to do was Lori Lightfoot.
okay.
Lori Lightfoot. Are you aware of Lori Lightfoot?
Uh-huh.
She has always got that shit on,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't matter her, and I want to analyze what her style is overall. I want to look
Yeah.
at it. I want to do a deep analysis on
I
her
would love
fits.
I would really love to do that YouTube series.
Yeah, do a fit analysis.
I have a lot of those that I would love to talk about. Especially, I'll tell you one that comes to mind right away is I'd love to talk about the rise and fall of Christian cinema.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm down
uh,
to do Christian cinema. Fit.
uh,
We did. We did. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is like a few years ago. It's on YouTube. You can go to Ain't the Show at YouTube and look this up. It is a Jeffrey Epstein fit tier list. Where, where we were
oh,
we were putting his fits on tiers. It was awful, dude. It was,
but yeah, and
yes. There's a lot of like fit. I want to do
and I
like
mean
this.
2025 Lady Gaga to be clear,
Yeah, yeah.
not
Not
like fame
yeah,
monster
yeah,
Lady
not peak.
Gaga.
Yeah, not the good shit.
You
The
right?
no, I want to see. I want to do that. There's like who's that ogre in Congress? I can't remember his name. He's Philly's Senate guy. You know what I'm talking about? He
um,
he wears sweatpants. You
wait,
know what I'm saying?
oh,
Can never
Fetterman.
remember. Fetterman, yes. I want to do like a Fetterman fit analysis, right? Because all of
Yeah,
his fits are dog shit, but he's got. Here's the thing, right? You have to
he
understand.
has a purposeful sense of style.
Fashion is intention, whether or not it
Yes.
is put off. Like my entire belief behind fashion is the intentionality of fashion. Fashion has intention to it, it gets really good. When it doesn't have intention, when you're just putting that shit on to put that shit on, it's the difference between like DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled is not a fashion guy, right? He wears a lot of fashionable clothing, but he just goes into a store and is like, "Give me the most expensive shit. I want to put
Oh,
it
I would
on."
love to analyze his fits actually because he has some of the most expensive dog shit fits in
Yes.
history.
Whereas Rick Ross has intentionality behind it,
Right,
right?
Rick Ross, incredible fits,
Yeah,
mediocre flows, and
yeah,
incredible fits. That's what
incredible
he's known
fits.
for.
Yeah, because he has intention in how he dresses. There's an intention of what he wants to look like. Whereas DJ Khaled just wants to look wealthy, right?
I,
It's
I, there was there have been rumors that you invite Rick Ross to do a verse with you to get him to like maybe buy you a watch or something. Like not like it's not about like it's not about
That's kind of hard, actually. That's the other one that's like that is like Drake. Drake has no intentionality to his fit. His
yeah.
intention is to look like someone else, right? Which is not intention. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's no authenticity in your intention. You look. That's why he always looks uncomfortable. Drake is always looking uncomfortable. The only time I've ever seen him not look uncomfortable was that picture when he was like in some sweats and he had a do rag and he had like a halter top on and he was just kind of chilling. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's him. That's, sweatpants kicking it at the house, no makeup on. That's him, right? Like,
I think back in the Degrassi days,
yeah. When he was dressed like a nerd, it was normal. That
there
was
were
his look.
times where he looked just like a
That's,
comfortable just
yeah,
person.
yeah, 100%, absolutely. Whereas like
Um,
Kanye West, his fashion, it's more and more unhinged every single. But there's intentionality to it. It's hard to hate on it. You know what I'm saying? Like he does unfortunately got that shit on. Although I was dying
some of it,
laughing.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you don't need the listen. He's got that shit on. It's unfortunate that he has that shit on. The gray clan robe was probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. And seeing DJ Academics dressed like a giant baby, like just wearing like he might as well just wear like a spinning propeller hat, right? Like sitting trying to interview him
Or
seriously.
remember when Kanye and Lil Pump dressed up as water bottles?
Yeah. It's cool. Like those are cool. Like it's because there's an intention behind it. It's insane. His intention
I
is
know, yeah, the water bottle thing totally worked. I don't know if he. I think he's lost some of his.
for sure. Well, you have
I
to
don't think he
understand the
has the
intention.
fashion lathe of heaven the way he used
No,
to.
he doesn't. But the intention for like the clan robe is to shock and piss you off, and boy howdy did that work.
I mean, here's what I'll say. It's like I think that it's like he still has some little shred of the spark of genius left, and so
Mhm.
sometimes it emerges.
Yeah, did you watch that stream that he did where he had like a 15-second? It was crazy. There's this hours long stream with him and DJ Academics. It's awful. DJ Academics is doing his like just his horror show that he does. And then
DJ Academics sucks so much.
he sucks so much. He offers nothing. He offers literally nothing to anyone. If you're
We
a
don't
DJ,
talk about this enough as a society,
yeah,
but like without a few people like Kanye West continuing to like pretend like DJ Academics needs to exist, we would have ejected him from the
yeah.
culture a long time ago.
We would have shot him into space. We would have sent him directly into the sun.
We would have sent it. Yeah, we would have like exported him. Like you
the
can
other
make,
guy, the other guy that's like that is Adam 22. Do you know about the Adam
oh
22?
God, fucking hate
His
that guy.
his entire podcast structure is legitimately funded by like the FBI. Like their whole thing is they convince Adam to get people to get like LA gang members on to literally just self snitch on themselves. And like that's how that's their money making operation. That's how they make all their money. That's where they get all
So
their
fucking much.
it's crazy. But yeah, I was watching that live stream. Kanye West is playing the worst beats of all time on like and then for like 15 seconds some clarity hits and then he up like he chops up some soul like a gospel song and it's beautiful for literally 15-30 seconds and then
Yeah.
he goes back to like the beep, boom, beep, boop, beep. You're like damn dude. Damn.
You know, contrarians always eventually self-own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you are just determined to be contrarian, you will eventually fucking turn yourself into a fucking corn cob. You will just eventually shrink down, and that's all that you are. It's just a little corn cob screaming at everybody.
Yeah.
And that's Kanye West right now. He's just a little corn cob next to a beautiful woman.
Are they still together?
Beautiful naked woman.
Is Bianca Sensori? I don't think they're. Did you see? I've been on a kick watching all of everything that he does because I just can't get over it. But he released a song called like Bianca Come Back or something, and it happened
Oh.
immediately. It's It happened immediately after she filed for divorce from him, and it's what if listen.
Oh, she filed for divorce.
She filed for divorce from him. Yeah.
Oh shit!
And so he released a song that's gonna come off his new album called World War Three.
Great,
And
great title.
great title, yeah.
Yeah.
And the name of the song is like Bianca Come Back, and it literally sounds like the Gary Come Home SpongeBob, right? I was right and you were wrong. It's crazy, dude. It's nuts. Listening to it made me feel like so bad for Kanye. I was like, damn, he's a terrible Nazi, but God damn, dude. Do you know about he tried to get someone to make a swastika chain? Like a diamond encrusted swastika chain.
And it was just too hard to find somebody to do it. I bet.
Literally everyone said no. Like
Yeah.
everyone.
I mean, honestly, that in a way that gives me a little hope because
Yeah.
you'd almost expect him to find someone to do it. You
Yeah.
know?
He put out an ad on Instagram that was like, it wasn't even an ad. It was like a post on Instagram where he was like, listen, if you're a jeweler and you're trying to make some money, hit me up. I got designs. And like, he only did that because no one would do the Nazi. No one would do the swastika. A diamond encrusted swastika is crazy work, dude. I'm trying to think of what else. Who else? We got to get off the Kanye stuff. It's well trod. It's well trod territory for me. I'm
Yeah,
trying to.
yeah, yeah. Let's move on. You know, um, the for better or worse, we're not gonna have another Kanye West in the next decade.
Yeah, we might not even
Um,
have the original Kanye West in the next decade.
art is gonna have to be more DIY than ever right now.
Mhm.
But it's really important that we still make it. Self-expression and community self-expression and things of that nature are critical at a time like this. Art is something that you can still it's a method by which you can still convey messages when other methods are being suppressed to some extent.
It's
Um,
authenticity. It's legitimately so. It's as easy as just doing it, and like by virtue of doing it, you get better at it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I
yeah.
really like about it.
And also just like fundamentally making art rejects the bullshit of a person like Elon Musk or Donald Trump. Donald Trump can't make art. Imagine Donald Trump trying to make any piece of art in any medium and it's immediately laughable. Imagine Donald Trump trying to write a poem
Well,
or paint a picture.
we've seen Donald Trump's art, like the Trump Gaza like video. Did you see that?
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
AI
yeah.
video that he made. That kind of stuff is what he's capable of, which is like extremely heavy lifting from something else, but it's all contrived in how it was derived at. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
none of those signifiers really hit for any of us because none of us we just recognize them as being obnoxiously rich, but none of it is like ringing true artistically, if that makes any sense.
Right, or like look at like the paintings of George W. Bush, which just have basically no merit at all
No
because
soul. Yeah, they got no
because
soul.
he's not really capable of saying anything. So he just paints pictures of like dogs hanging out around the house and stuff like that. And it's like the painters that you would like to be like painted dogs to represent like their feelings about loyalty or the state or depression or what, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like all these different, like you're just painting a dog to paint a dog. The only painting that George Bush has ever done that's real is that like weird self-portrait of himself in the bathroom
Hmm.
where he just looks like haggard.
Hmm.
And it's just like it's just like that's the one time he was just like I'm actually letting something out, but otherwise he's just fucking he's totally suppressed. But
I would love to see him
invest in
paint
yourself.
9/11. I think that would be hard. I think if he just painted the towers, like that was like, oh, dude, hell yeah, dude. That way he could be definitively Bush did 9/11. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a
Everyone will be
social
able to say that
commentary.
after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
In fact, he should write that on
yeah.
the piece, like kind of like a Nispan peep thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Bush did 9/11, just written
he
on the
should
painting.
he should legitimately just paint a picture of the Statue of Liberty and then title it Bush did 9/11. Right? That's That's it right there. That's the
That's
like
it. That's
real
it.
R mutt. Like,
Bring it home. But yeah, a lot of these oligarchs and stuff, they're not capable of art. They're not capable of it at all. And
Mhm.
you can see this over and over again. I mean, look at how Jeff Bezos, every property that Amazon buys turns to dust practically.
Yeah.
And it's because if his interests, not even necessarily him directly, but just the people that protect his money, if they get too much say in this stuff, then it necessarily sucks, right? And so, they just can't do it, but we are capable of making art and expressing ourselves. And
Something.
that frustrates them both literally and in the political sense of frustrating their work.
Yeah. Something interesting about all of this actually. And I didn't get a really chance. I was talking about the consumptive aspect of art. Like
Uh-huh.
we consume art, right? We consume art, but we use that in our lives to make our lives better, worth living. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We listen to music that we want to listen to because it reminds us of better times, or it makes us sad, it makes us feel things that we want to feel and express, capable of expressing ourselves. And I know so many artists who like will listen to music, teach themselves a riff on a guitar, play that riff over and over and over again, get sick of it, and then eventually write their own song, right? That is a consumptive aspect of art. You are consuming art, and in consuming that art, you're using it in a way to enrich your life and like
Yeah.
then
And that's
create art.
great.
Yeah, and then create more art for more people to do that. And that's a beautiful thing. Here's the thing though. This is like another part of billionaires become inhuman. Billionaires really can't appreciate art because to them it's transactional. Their art, the only purpose, like all things in their life, the only purpose that any art serves in their life is profit. It's
Right.
profit driven, right? So like they like this is like kind of the this is why there are so many like high polished turds now, especially like you brought up Amazon like with a Hobbit series, which if Shogs would hear, he would have an aneurysm about about that because he hates the Hobbit.
It's
He
yeah.
hates it so bad.
Oh
He
my
hates it so
god.
much. The Amazon Hobbit. Every time I ever brought it up, he's
So
literally
fucking
like
bad.
turns beet red, and he's about to like his brain is about to pop. But the thing is the reason why it's bad, and one of the main driving reasons, this also happens on like Netflix and all these other places, is that they know that they can potentially make more money by making a bad show than by making a good show because more people will watch it to hate watch it, more people will watch it to comment on it. There will be a million spawns of a million YouTube videos taking it down, and then they can copyright strike all of that and get all of that collective money. And it generates some kind of, right? And like that is bad art. Art made with the intention of legitimately just being hate watched, in my opinion, is overdone, fucking overmade. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
oversaturated and it's killing us. It's making our shit so bad that we have to watch old shit, right? Like
This is
we can
actually
all.
why I enjoyed watching Megalopolis, is because so many things, like you say, there's so much intentionally bad stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but Megalopolis is like a rare,
It's bad, but
just
it
total shit show that was
yeah,
not intended to be bad at all.
absolutely. Absolutely.
It, Francis Ford Coppola thought he was cooking. He
Thought he
thought
was
he
cooking
thought
every
he was
step of the
in
way.
the
He
fucking kitchen of God. He thought that he had the fucking
mandate. He thought he had the mandate of heaven. He thought
he thought he had the fucking the recipes that fucking Buddha himself was fucking you know what I
my
mean?
man thought he was cooking hard, and
And it's dog shit, but it's so authentically unique dog shit that everyone involved in it clearly took super seriously while they were
Abs-
making it.
absolutely.
Um, and I don't mean to get too far on a tangent about this or anything, but it's just really funny to me, this whole that whole thing. Like, I've really enjoyed that movie as like a palate cleanser from like intentionally bad stuff. It's like these guys thought they were making the next great movie of the next 50 years.
They
That
thought he was.
people would talk about this the way they talk about Ben-Hur. Like,
The movie was so bad. It was insane. I was watching it. I was watching it from like a really shitty like DVD rip, like a really bad rip, and I was like, okay, well, obviously like this movie. And then I went later on and rewatched it again with like a really high quality, and I was like, oh no, this movie just looks like that. This movie looks like a fucking Prius commercial. Like it looks.
it looks really weird. It's
like
all so weird.
The lighting is dog shit. None of the set pieces make sense.
All the sets are fucking ass. But they're like really expensive.
Yeah, they're insanely expensive. I was laughing my ass off. And like the one that keeps coming back to me is the one where there's like 3 separate beams and one of them is holding up a piano, right? 3 separate like I beams. Mm-hmm. And like I was thinking to myself, like, that means that like in the universe of this, that means that there are 3 separate cranes that are so close to each other. Like
I kept thinking about that too. I kept saying, what are these suspended from?
Yeah.
What? Like, it seems like they're high up above anything else in the city.
Yeah.
So what's holding them and from where? And also, all those scenes are just designed to upset the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. Like, even if you're not naturally afraid of heights, like, I am afraid of heights, but even my friends I was watching with that aren't afraid of heights were like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, when they're kissing on those beams in the sky and, like, hanging in the air, like, everyone was like, no.
I thought it was like I thought it was crazy to open it up on like a political stump speech, but have like on fucking what are those called? On I can't remember what they're called. The like on they're like just beams, like support, like a support bridge. You know what I'm talking about? Like in the very opening scene, I couldn't get over it. It was oh my god that. And then the end speech of him just being like, "We could all build it." It was very much abundance coded, and it was I don't know, dude. I hated it. It was so bad.
I tell you, the Megalopolis is so bad, and this. First of all, Megalopolis should be your proof to bring this home a little bit. This should be your proof that you should make something.
Yeah. You could make whatever you can make much better and with much less of a budget, and it still wouldn't be that bad.
$300 and make a better movie today than Megalopolis. Megalopolis is so bad that it made me have 2 crises of self. All right, 1, Aubrey Plaza was like one of my like youthful crushes, you know, and that movie ruined it for me. Like I'm totally over it now.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I saw in her as a celebrity crush. It's over after that movie. That's crazy that movie was capable of that. Another thing that movie made me do was made me question smoking weed temporarily, because apparently Francis Ford Coppola was just getting really high every morning and then making shit up. Like he didn't really have a plan for shooting Megalopolis, and so he was just getting really high every morning and then just showing up and being like, do this, do that, and then like, you know, just firing random people, hiring random people.
That movie actually makes way more sense as a guy that's too high to function describing what he wanted his movie to look like.
And a guy that's too high to function with no plan. Because here's the thing. If you wrote some shit down before you got high, you might be okay. I'm speaking from experience. I work high a lot. You know? But if I write down a series of steps before I get fucking blasted, then I can fucking edit videos for hours or whatever, crazy high shit like that for my job. And it's totally fine because I wrote down what I needed to do.
Yeah.
You
that
know,
makes sense. That makes 1,000% sense.
But if I just like start fucking riffing, if I get high and start fucking riffing in the video editor with no plan, then I'm about to show you some bullshit.
Yeah, you're about to lose your fucking job.
like, like Francis Ford Coppola should have had a plan. I shot a film for that recent film jam I described in the Troy AV Club. It was again a 48-hour film festival type thing. We actually did over 72 hours to be just a little more generous since we were working asynchronously to some extent, with a lot of teams and stuff. People sharing files across digital spaces and stuff like that. It's good to accommodate a little extra time for that shit. And so I wrote a script, for this fucking a short video for this. I wrote a script. Like, some people don't take the time to do the basics, and Francis Ford Coppola apparently one of them.
I used to, so we're like real sicko hours. Two things was I wanted to get really into like making videos and shooting videos and stuff, but I didn't have the money to do it. But I would go on to like, I would find video like on Craigslist. There used to be like not just Craigslist, but like other places too. There would always be listings for guys needed to show up to a shoot to work on something. So like boom mic operators, gaffers, people to tape stuff down. So I would like constantly do all that work, and I want to say like 5 out of 10, it was usually porn, some kind of like amateur porn that was being shot. Which whatever, it's fine. But you know what's interesting to me is that every now and then, like 1 out of 10 of these, the guys would not have a script. They would just shoot something, right? And like even porn has scripts. There's like plans of how things happen and where things are gonna go. And no,
Even if there's not a script, sometimes there's a shot list and a storyboard.
Precisely,
or something.
And music videos. So it was split between like music videos and porn shoots were the two that I most often answered. And one guy for like a student film decided to get like 30 people together, myself included, and start filming stuff. And in his mind, the only thing that he had planned was that he wanted a lot of Dutch angles. That's it. No fucking script. No anything. So we spent fucking 4 days in the Santa Cruz Mountains, like just fucking wet, miserable, stinky, following around people that had no script, did not know what to do, no idea what to do. One of the worst experiences of all time. And from then on out, I realized like, oh, I can actually make this shit. I can do this shit.
Yeah, you can just be that person if you want. Anyone listening to this, watching this, whatever, you can just be that person if you want.
Just make a script. This is what I'm saying. Before you do anything, write a script. Do something.
Just
Just
actually have a plan is a big deal. Writing out a sensible budget. Like, a lot of people neglect that stuff for small projects. You think it's a micro budget film. I don't really need to write down the budgeting. Yes, you do, because you're probably spending your money the wrong way.
Wait, yeah.
And like, this is like a really, we're about to face an unprecedentedly bad economy. I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about that, but just, it if you're listening to this. You're not a fool. You know what's up. You're watching the Dow. We're about to head into an unprecedentedly bad economy in a lot of ways. You've got to make your art cheaply right now. And to do that, you've got to spend your money wisely, because it's very hard to make art for free.
Absolutely.
It's really, really hard, but it's not too hard to make cheap art. But you usually need to spend some money. But the question is, where are you spending that money, and how? What's it going to? Who gets it? These questions are extremely important and often really neglected in small artistic ventures. And it's really good to actually write down where a lot of your stuff is going to. And like, if you're working on an indie project, an indie film project, you should be very, very careful about where to spend your money, because it can be very tempting to spend your money on things that don't actually contribute that much to the quality of the project.
If you're spending money on props, you've already goofed. Like, that's a big one for me.
Yeah, props is one that you can really waste way too much money on. Like, now I'm not saying spend $0 on props, but there will be people that, like, if you've got a $10,000 budget for your film, I should probably not see $3,000 to $5,000 in props.
Yeah.
Like, I should probably not see that. Or locations.
Yeah, location's another one too. The other one, this one is equipment. You don't need the best equipment. You just need.
But if you have some money to spend, equipment's one of the best places to spend it.
Listen, I'm gonna push back, and only in this one direction. The only place that the equipment really matters is lighting. Everything else can go by the wayside.
I will actually say I'll push back on that a tiny bit and say another thing people are really picky about is the audio.
The audio, I'm an ADR guy all the way. I've mastered that. So like I never think about it, but I definitely get people in and do ADR like for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like a lav mic with like a good like one of these, what do they call them? They're called like a cat ball or something like that, like a hairball filter.
Dead cat.
Yeah, dead cat filter. This is perfect, right? This is all you need. You don't need anything more important than this or anything more.
No, a lot of people will overthink some of these steps, but audio is pretty important. You want it to look good or sound good.
Yeah, you want it to sound good,
You
but
want it to sound good.
lighting is the one thing that
and-
most people fuck up because they don't think about it. They think,
Well, and they think about it very simply if they do think about it, because lighting is not just literally some lights. You probably want some bounce panels. You may want a smoke machine, and you'd be going, "Well, I'm not shooting a nightclub." It doesn't. You'd be surprised how many shots in your favorite Netflix show they went in there and put some smoke in the air before they started shooting and let it just hang, because it just adds density to the room that the lighting can like capture. And it makes shit look cinematic. There's like a lot of like little tiny things that you can do to improve your lighting situation. It's not all just literally have good lights, but also buy like 2 or 3 good lights.
Yeah.
You
You can get good ones for like $30. I'm using the one I'm using right now, has all these like cool features, and I can do like flashes, and it was cheap. It was crazy. I think $30.
Yeah, my lights are just that I use for filming. I have 2 kinds of lights I use for filming. One are just these like adjustable stand lights. You can adjust how tall they are. You can't really adjust the angle of them, but you can adjust how tall they are. And you can put color filters in them, and you can adjust the brightness.
Nice.
And that's good enough. And those were like $60 a piece. And they come with a big old stand, and then I have another set of lights that are these little tiny cube light LED, like they're these little LED lights. They're crazy bright though, really powerful. Those cost me like $80 for 3 of them. And like if there's just like a lack of lighting in a room, those are like the perfect fill lights. So like what I'm saying is like for $200 total, basically, I bought enough lights that like I haven't even thought about buying lights again.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
You can really
like,
maximize. You can maximize with a very little. That's why like spend money on lighting equipment. For me, that's the main one. The other thing, do not ever spend money on editing equipment. Right? Like Shotcut is what I use. It's free. It's a little difficult to master, but spend the time looking at like learning, and everything's on YouTube. You can easily
also never plan to fix anything in post if you're an independent filmmaker.
Absolutely.
This is a mistake I see a lot, where people be like, let's move on, we'll fix that last shot in post. No, you won't.
No, you won't.
You just will never release that footage.
You'll just have a fucked up shot.
You cannot afford to fix shit in post if you're an independent filmmaker. To fix 30 seconds in post will cost you $1,000 to $10,000.
If you're not, and if you're doing it yourself, like a crazy person like me, doing all the editing yourself, it will cost you your sanity and hours of your life you cannot get back. Right?
Yeah, I mean, all the time you see people that are like, I started working on this short film 3 years ago.
Yeah, and you're like, why did it take you 3 years to finish it?
And then you watch it, and you're like, wow, it looks really cool, but also, is it going to be 3 years before your next film? Like, what's the plan? Like...
What's the saying is, there's a saying about, this was more true with writers than with filmmakers, but it's that you get a lifetime to write your first book. Then after that, you get 6 months. Right? That is literally how I feel like making films works too.
Yeah, I think there's a very similar aspect to making films, or making almost any art to some extent. If you take a break, then you have to be prepared to come back and reestablish yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to be prepared to kind of potentially start from square one again if you take a break from creating that's long. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying it from experience. You know, like I'm coming back to being a video creator now after a long break from that.
Mm-hmm.
At least doing it for myself. I've been making videos professionally for other people, but I haven't done anything for myself for a while until recently.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, um, it's going pretty well, but also like I had to like work really hard to get back to the point of basically being at square one again.
Mm-hmm.
When like 10 years ago I could have been doing this, and
Mm-hmm.
then I let it fall by the wayside for a while, and then you lose that momentum, and you'd be surprised. I think it's really easy to convince yourself like that momentum will still be there.
No,
If
homie,
I no, it won't.
you would not believe. I mean, I've restarted and killed the show like 3 separate times, right? And in each of those times, it's been to build it back has been harder. But also, like, I kick myself every day for not spending the little extra money to put this on YouTube, to make clips and put this on TikTok. When I see the growth that I get from doing this stuff, do you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm like, man, I really could have been done with all this by now. If I had started 5 years earlier. So, really, if you want to, the key to making something is if you want to make something, don't put it off. Get out there, go and do it, right?
Yeah.
Fight against, swim upstream if you have to, but it's important that you do it because by the time you're done, you will have learned and mastered a ton of things that you didn't think possible that will only make your next project better. So like,
Yeah, you just got to keep moving. You got to keep moving on to the next thing to a large extent. And it's, yeah, part of it is this sink or swim aspect of our culture, but part of it really is like that's what you need to do. Like, if all you're doing is just like spinning your wheels on one project, and I've been there, trust
yeah.
me. Like, I had this one thing, I wrote a story in like 2012 ish that got really popular online. It was on a site that was kind of like a pre-medium type site.
Mhm.
I don't want to shout them out because they were scummy as hell,
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
it was on like a pre-medium type site that would buy articles from just like random people. Like you could publish your own stuff there, but like if your stuff was good, they would pay you, kind of thing.
Nice.
Like, and so I published this story that was insanely popular. Like it got read millions of times. And I thought, wow, I'm really fucking onto something here, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I started uh, really thinking like I had something so special there. And then I had several people reach out to me wanting to adapt it to film.
Mhm.
And I went with the most serious guy who was like a real industry guy to some extent. Like you wouldn't know him really well, but he's like directed some episodes of TV shows and stuff like that, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And we worked on it for like 2 years trying to sell it.
Mhm.
And the whole time, like instead of creating new stuff, all I did was work on trying to sell this one thing.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, like my fan base of readers stopped giving a shit about me because I didn't publish any more stories, you know, and like all, you know what I mean?
No,
Like
I
there was
get it.
like a whole, and so then like once that project fell apart, it was just like I was kind of left with nothing because I had put all of my eggs in that basket instead of continuing to make stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and uh, uh, you just you can't do that to yourself.
Absolutely.
If I know that you might get really excited about a particular idea you have, but you have to kill your darlings to be an artist.
Mhm.
You cannot be too attached to any one particular idea, dream, focus, or vision. You
Or you could
have
do like Francis Ford Coppola and Frankenstein your darlings, right? And make the worst dog shit you've ever made, and it's fine too. That's okay. That's okay. I'm with either, but you have to be able, in order to Frankenstein, you have to have the energy, the power, the money to do that. You know what I'm saying? And the way you
right.
do that is you make a lot of things. You know what? Like the scattershot approach is kind of how I've learned to like do well in this, right? With this stupid podcast, that the reason why it has grown and continues growing and people listen is because you never know what you're going to get. Every single week, entirely different. I'm clown pilled. I'm clown maxing. I'm an entirely different guy now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can continuously do this every day, like, and just be different, change it, And you never know who you're going to get, who's going to come along for the ride, and who's just going to be like, you know what, no thanks. But you have to, you know what I'm saying? That's how you do it. You just make things that people you think will like, you know. But we could sit here all day and talk about this stuff. I want to respect your time. I also got to edit this and get this out. So, do you have plugs you want to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
up?
yeah. Let's have some final thoughts and plugs here. That sounds great. I
Yeah.
was just starting to look at the clock
Yeah.
like shit. Uh, but yeah. I just really sincerely, before we get into the plugs, just want to end these thoughts on the note of like, you really can just create stuff. Just go do it. Go do it and don't stop. Don't get hung up on perfection. Sweat about I need $8 million to make my dreams come true or whatever. If that's the case, then dream about something else for now.
Yeah. Your
like,
I'm
like,
telling you right.
or
Yeah.
or just find a way. You know,
Your
like
first project, without a doubt, is going to suck, and that's fine. It's gonna have
yeah,
to, right? Because if it was perfect immediately right off the bat, no one would like you. No one likes those people. I'm telling you this right now. When you go to an open mic and there's a guy's like, "This is my first open mic," and he goes out there and he hits like just this perfect, he sings Imagine and he hits all the notes and it's beautiful and people start crying. Fuck that guy. You got to come up after that guy, right?
but also
That's
like that guy. A lot of times, then it's like you see him at another open mic and he's playing the same song again.
yeah. He's like, yeah, this is my
And
first
it's
open
like,
mic.
and you
Yeah,
see him at a third open mic, he's playing the same song
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, wait, does this guy know other
Yeah,
songs?
yeah.
You know? So just believe in yourself,
Yeah.
because that's the place to start,
Yeah.
as Arthur
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
PBS. Just really like you can do amazing things. You do not need a huge budget. You
You
do
just need
not need
homies.
and
Legitimately, yeah.
and yeah, your first thing is not going to be perfect by any means. Even if it's good, even if you somehow luck out and you make something good, you'd be a fool to then say I've done it, because if it's your first thing, you're going to look at it, you're going to go, I could improve this
Yeah, I can
realistically.
make more. I can do better.
And so, keep improving, keep striving, but don't give up the hope of creation. We live in a time when creative tools are really the most accessible they've ever been. We have computers and smartphones everywhere. Every smartphone is a recording studio
Hmm.
and a filmmaking studio in a box. Is it a good one? No. Like, I think that's the part that people say that shit a lot. Like, you can record a whole album with your phone, and then people go, "Wow, really?" And it's like, yeah, you can. It sucks.
Yeah, but you could
It
do it.
it's a pain in the ass process. You'll probably pull your hair out and cry a few times. You'll probably lose a song
my
along the
first two
way.
my first two albums were done on a phone, so I know I understand fully. And it was done back at a time when Samsung exported music in like an MM1437A format that literally only Samsungs could play. So I had to go to like sketchy Korean websites to like convert it into like
Right,
an
right, right.
MP3. Yeah.
So yeah, so don't feel like you can't do this stuff. We live in a time where so many creative tools are super available to you.
Absolutely.
And also like there's just so many ways to be creative. We didn't have time to really get into this at all, but like board games and tabletop games are in a huge crisis with what's going on, and it's really sad to see because when I was young, we would always talk about how do we bring people into these hobbies.
Hmm.
Like when I was growing up playing D&D, I'd be like, this feels like it could be for everyone, and yet it seems like mostly cis white men that I run into playing this.
Hmm.
And then we finally did it. We broke through a lot of those barriers in the last few years and really changed everything. Young people, old people, quote unquote cool people, whatever, fucking, they're playing board games now. It doesn't matter,
Hmm.
and now that's coming to an end with tariffs. But there's people out there creating like print and play games where all you need is like D6s that you probably already have in your
Card
house and
games,
a
but yeah,
printer.
card
Or,
games that are mad accessible. People are making shouts out to Winslow Dumaine who makes his own card game, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's lots of creators out there. You just
yeah,
have to
there's a
be.
YouTube channel. I really wish I could think of the name of it right now, but I don't want to. I know we're trying to get out of here, so I
Yeah.
don't want to waste our time looking it up. But there's a YouTube channel. It's called like something like Card Games That Don't Suck or something.
Yeah.
And all he does is cover like card games using a traditional deck you've probably never played or heard of. And like, there's just there's just so many ways to be creative, and he shouts out the creators too. And sometimes it's like it's sometimes sure it's like here's an 18th century parlor game you never heard, but sometimes he's like, yeah, this game was invented like 5 years ago by some brothers in Montana, and I think it's really good. And here's how you play it,
That's
you
nice.
know, and you just need a regular deck of cards.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that shit's really cool. So just don't feel limited.
yeah.
Be inspired. I
Make
know I'm
stuff.
kind of saying the same things over and
Yeah,
over again, but I really feel like we got to drive this point home right now because there's so much despair.
yeah.
There's so much hopelessness, and I feel it too. It's not like I don't feel like, and people will, you know, if you bring this stuff up, people will be like, well, you know, movies and board games are not on my top 20 list of issues, right? Me neither,
You need to relax. You need to figure
but we
out a way
still
to,
need
yeah.
art, you
You need to figure out a
know.
way to be a human. Look at how far I've come. Look at what you've made me do with your podcasting apps and your stupid NPR and CNN. And look at this. Look at how deeply I've fallen. Right?
So, anyway, that was just an extra 5 minutes just to really sincerely implore you to believe in yourself and make things and find some joy in this life. I mean, we seriously live in the kind of times where, like, you know, maybe a nuclear war is going to break out. I don't want to say super drastic stuff like this a lot, but you know, something horrible could happen, and all of our lives as we know it could come to an end, right? Like either figuratively or literally or whatever. And so like enjoy yourself right now,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
fuck's
Enjoy
sake.
yourself. Yeah.
Because this is the time to do that to some
Make art,
extent.
consume art, be art, live the art, die for the art. You know what I'm saying? It's all that.
Yeah, live for art right now. And with that in mind, if you want to come check out the Choya AV Club, it's a really cool Discord where we encourage each other to make art. We have stuff like accountability groups for different kinds of projects. We have contests. We have just fun shit. We just watch wrestling or movies in there sometimes and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very active community of people doing interesting things. And don't feel like it's not for you if you heard me talk about film a lot and you're like, well, I crochet or whatever. It's
Yeah.
for everyone.
There's musicians in there. I've seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
musicians in there. There's lots of like different creatives. I think there's someone in there that literally does do crochet and like traditional art. So like yeah, there's lots of people and they want more people to go in there, get involved. I need to get more involved. I've been clowning out too hard around here.
And people are putting together really interesting collabs. Like on the subject of musicians, some folks met in there and met up for a recording session IRL.
That's cool.
You know,
Yeah.
that didn't know each other at all previously, had never heard each other, but you know, are living in the same city. And you know, they were like, "Oh, hey, you've got a space to record, and you've got like you like working with tools like Pro Tools," and then the other person's like, well, I've got a guitar and a bass and some stuff, and
That's
they
hard.
got together and they made some music. And so you know, there's people really meaningfully coming together and making stuff happen in there. It is not just people hanging out. There's hanging out and having fun too, don't get me wrong, and we love that shit. Like we all want to hang out and have fun. But there's also like, if you are looking for a space where you could actually meet the people that have the resources to help you get to the next step of your project, like that is the kind of space we are creating.
Absolutely.
So I love to see you there. And on the subject of next projects, I got a couple different things going on I want to shout out. First and foremost, really quick, I'll just shout out my podcasts. Worst Week Yet, of course. A lot of people that listen to this show probably already familiar with the Worst Week Yet. It's a pretty wonderful show with Andrew Hillary, Deanna Mackey, and whoever else, and myself, obviously. Yeah, we just talk about the news and shit. We try to make it as funny as we can, but we
You
also
do a great job, by the way, because they are not doing that anywhere else. Yeah, you have a pretty tough job, and you do a good job because everyone else is like, we're all gonna die. It's very
Yeah,
bad.
everyone else is mostly given up.
Yeah.
John Stewart just plays Russian roulette on the air now. You know, like
Stephen Colbert's just crying. He's just sobbing into the microphone.
John Oliver has been replaced with a hologram. No one knows where he really is.
Yeah,
You know, but But yeah, we try to make the news funny. It's not an easy thing to do. So some of the stories we just cover with the graveness that they deserve. But we do try to crack some jokes about the stories where it feels appropriate to crack jokes. And especially stories about, for instance, guys like Elon Musk, who are very easy to joke about. And, you were on recently, and it was a great time.
It was fun.
And,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
we definitely managed to find some humor in the darkness on that episode. And then also most important election of our lives is another podcast I do that is honestly just really unhinged.
That's the one I want to get on. That's the one that
you're coming on that one soon.
Right, yeah,
Don't worry.
I need that.
No,
I'm looking
we're
forward to
making
that
that
one.
happen. It's a really fun show where what we do basically is we mash up political topics and fictional topics in weird ways. And it relates to the interests of the guests, but then I try to write a show outline that will shock and surprise the guests, and sometimes even just my other co-hosts. It's usually just very silly and very self-aware programming that I think is kind of needed right now to some extent. And then last but definitely not least is I launched a new YouTube channel recently that I'm super excited about. It's called The Clothkins, and it's puppet-based content. It is just something that I'm very passionate about, that I've been thinking about for a while, launching a channel with these themes and this kind of content being the focus. I've got a lot of friends helping me to make it happen. It's a really beautiful thing. I'm really proud of all the people involved. I definitely do not want to take 100% of the credit. I just kind of was the person to stand up and say, hey, let's do something, which sometimes is needed. But when you do that, sometimes other people step up and do really cool creative stuff. And so I just want to say, shouts out to everybody that has worked on this project so far. Our first series is called Wild Birds of the Americas.
I saw that. Awesome. The jazz birds.
The jazz birds, yeah. So we've got more bird stuff coming soon. We've got birds ordering DoorDash. We've got birds getting into other kinds of crimey behaviors. We've got birds.
You got bird pickup artists? That would go crazy hard.
Oh yeah, we
Bird
got
PUA.
all that kind of stuff going. Yeah, that's exactly the kind. Honestly, a lot of the inspiration for this stuff comes from like crazy Reddit stories.
Yeah.
And that kind of, to some extent, like, or just that kind of, or should I see on TMZ?
Yeah.
Or, like that's the kind of vibe that like what's inspiring a lot of this stuff. It's super fun. So yeah, I would really appreciate it if folks took the time to check that out, because I really want to do more stuff like that. That is actually the kind of shit that I'm very passionate about, that I've been trying to get back into for a long time. And I have worked my ass off in the last couple of years to do stuff like buy video equipment, buy puppets,
Yeah. That's
like,
the hard part is getting all that stuff together. 1000%.
Yeah, the commitment to that part of it is not simple for a project like this. Obviously, I mean, I've been talking this whole time about keeping projects cheap. I'm not saying I've spent a stupid amount of money. I'm just saying that I'm a working class person, and I've tucked away a few $100s here and there and said, this is for the puppets.
This is why I've always fucked with you heavily, because you are a lot like me in the sense of passion projects are there's a lot of passion behind the project. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of people, when people say passion project, they mean something they do in their spare time. But like for you, the passion is center. It's like right in the center. Like it's, no, I am doing this because if I don't, I'll go crazy. Right. And I really have always enjoyed that about you. And I always thought that was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, I know we've been trying to end this for a while, but now we're really ending it for real. We're going to read off the subscribers, the homies, the people, right? And this is always my favorite part, because I have no idea what the list looks like, and people change their names to just have me say unhinged shit. So bear with me. $10 more to the Gorilla Chow Fund. Carrie is fucking with Casio, 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 Casio. CHO Feskatch. Dave Attenborough these nuts in that buttery booty. Dead Raccoon. Did it all for the cookie. LL. Director M. Strayed no further from the mission. I got you. Fuzzy Nalga, Scrungus Fungus Stungus, Hamwich, aka Hamstrokers Ejacula, aka Hamwich Witchler. That is a terrible one. You need to figure out your life, dude. Jade, John Dislike It, Kevin Villasane, Kiefer, Christopher Lynch, Malik Nunez, Marin is Spinning You, Pablo Hummus, Ripstone, Roboy, Scubacho Steve's Favreau, Shmoo, Somewhere System, Steven Sevignano, Stolen Valor Jody, The Double Threat. This podcast is sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. Live Moss, homies. Theo, A Bag of Sand, Andrew Morgado, Augur, Benny, Brody, Brian H., Cha Cha Slide, Chris McTiger, Chris Varley, Chris Wade, Cody Hewitt, Doug M., Even Smaller Micro Peanhus, Frank Javc, Fred Sharman, Gabriel, Griselda Noises, Brrrah, Toot 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 Toot, He Devil in France, Homer Runtime, Infested Deck, Jason Zoller, Jim Schmungus, Joey Cassidy, Jonathan Weber, Josh G, Kavian, Kenzie Treal, Knife Dog, Laura, Luke Simasek, Marie Mesh, Miss Bird, Names, Obi-Wan Khashoggi, Ogan Aston, Patrick Goldman, Radio Free Tope Bag, Reese, Richard Koknar, Rianne, Sadish Radish, Sarah Zadig, Slither, Socrum Legnar, Solidus Red, Super Mailboy 64, Spenny, Spermicidal Tendencies, Stephen V, Tegan, the disfigured love child of all John Gabachos, the Empty Set, the Homie Shop Steward, the Lee Lai Lulelo, the Limit and Mid Scarlick Ginger and Shallots, Wax Replica, World's Largest Margot Peenhus, and rounding us out as always is the world's largest Micro Peenhus. Shouts out to the homies. I love all of you. Kennedy, thank you for being gracious. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We gotta talk. We gotta figure out how to get reconnect. Do more stuff like this.
Yes.
All right. Bye.